Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 295. Your weekly get together. We talk about recent gaming news. As always, your host, Stephen Brown, and joining today is,
I'm David.
as you all
Still
can see,
busted.
as you can all see, David is still laid up right now. He can't really get his cam in a good position, so we have the Sunbur up there as token David replacement. The resemblance is quite striking.
Thank you.
Tonight, David, we have more Star Wars coming from Respawn. New studios are opening everywhere, it seems, and Blizzard finally announces a new IP since 2016's Overwatch, I think, is when it came out. But first, I want everyone here to know this is an audience interactive podcast, so if you're watching here at live at Twitch TV/GamePoints or later over at YouTube.com/GamePointsPC, feel free to join in the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns, etc. you might have. Just try to keep them germane to the topics on hand. David, how has your past week or so been? I know that despite being laid up, you are still technically working.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been working from home, and I don't know. I was working from home before, but this time it's different. As opposed to working from home last year, like working from home for medical leave. I don't know, because I had gone back into the office, and so now I'm out again, and it's just I don't know. It's not as fun as the first time, I guess.
No, I can. Well, you're actually
less,
hurt now, so you can't just get away with some shit.
Yeah, I'm less mobile, so I can't just like bail on work. So I'm kind of just home all day.
Well,
Always
that's
available online.
surely given you a chance to play some stuff. What have you been fiddling around with the past week or so?
You will be excited to know, my friend,
Okay.
that in anticipation of this, I have sunk a hearty, I want to say, 8 hours
Okay.
into everybody's favorite 2018 video game, God of War.
God of War's great.
Fuck yeah,
It's
dude.
so good. It's so good.
It's just terrific.
That opening fight specifically against guy who will be made unnamed because it's a little bit of a spoiler, I guess, is how I visualize how superheroes should actually fight.
Yeah. Oh no, it's amazing.
And just
Yeah,
how
that whole opening thing, because it happens in like the first 15 minutes. There's
Yeah.
a crazy fight, just so everybody knows. God of War has fighting in it. Spoiler alert for old game, but it's new to a whole new batch of people, considering that it just came out on PC.
Yeah, and that grin he has on his face is just amazing as he's getting tossed around.
Yeah, it's terrific, and it doesn't really let up from there.
No, it doesn't. That game just keeps going. I will play through that again probably over the summer when we have that lull between the next few months and then August, typical Q3, Q4 rush. So come summer, I'll probably play through God of War again. We'll see. I'm glad you're getting right through that, though. I wanna discuss that with you a little bit more before, once you finish it up.
Yeah, well, and it makes sense since I finished Spider-Man late last year that I played the other big PlayStation game this year.
And to be clear, you have played Horizon Zero Dawn, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Horizon Zero Dawn is the game that actually sold me a PS4. So I bought that game and a PS4 Pro when those things came out.
Still only one of 2 platinum trophies I have is that game.
There you go. That game was also terrific.
Yeah, fantastic. Arguably better than God of War, I think. I think it was better than God of War in my opinion. But the story beats to the end of Horizon really resonated with me.
Yeah, no. Story-wise, I would lean Horizon, and I don't know, the enemy design is definitely favors Horizon, but some of the combat mechanics I'm really liking from God of War. Just he's got the whole rage thing and all that nonsense.
Right. There's a point in God of War, by the way, which I'm pretty sure you're not at, but once you get to it, I wanna pick your brain for how you felt when it happens. But when you finish it, I want to ask about it.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I'm all done. I'm anticipating getting through it in the next couple of weeks.
There have been 2 games I've been playing around with. Both of them I think are excellent, but one way better than the other one. The first one, which I think is good, surprisingly so, is Expeditions Rome.
Okay, you're liking that game.
What was that?
You're liking that game.
I am. I'm kind of shocked by it too, because Viking, which was their previous effort, was so bug-ridden that I
know that you were not anticipating Expeditions Rome.
Right.
You didn't have high hopes for it.
Turns out it's really good so far. I'm only about 2 or 3 hours into it, however, because of the other game that came out last week, which is just if this came out last year, I'd be talking about Game of the Year stuff already, and that's Nobody Saves the World.
Ha ha ha! That game does look great.
It's so good. And
what's funny is I loaded that game off of Game Pass.
It is free on Game Pass right now.
But due to my, broken foot situation. It's hard for me to sit at my desk.
Yeah, that could be
Basically,
a problem.
I can't sit in a regular chair, so I had to move downstairs, and so I'm playing console games. Otherwise, I would probably be playing that game with you because it does look incredible.
It is. It's so good. It starts off where you can like just shift between characters, and each character has a set of special abilities, right? So if you're the knight, you can block and you have a sword, and if you're the archer, you can bow and arrow things. But as you progress, you start unlocking the ability to mix and match all these characters' special abilities. So you can have a horse that can shoot arrows from the archer while simultaneously swimming in water from another critter.
That's just terrific.
And the way the gameplay incorporates you needing to actually sit down and go, okay, for this dungeon, what set of skills and abilities do I need to put on what characters? Actually kitting out your character for each dungeon becomes a little game into itself.
That's cool.
And it's so well done. I can't.
And it probably rewards variety and all that other fun stuff.
Absolutely. There's with how many things you. So I think there's, let's just say anywhere between 15 to 20 characters in it.
And it was 14.
Is it 14?
I thought it was 14 when they did the press release, but there could be more. I have no idea.
It could be 14. I'm only thinking of this off the top of my head. Let's say 14, just for argument's sake. Each one of those comes with 3 to 5 abilities, and you could slap most of those abilities on any other character. You can imagine the combinations are very, very high of stuff that you can do.
And it's 15. My bad.
Yeah, it is so good. I can't recommend Nobody Says No enough. This fine folks at Juicebox Studios did something. Drinkbox. Drinkbox. The Guacamelee people.
Drinkbox. Definitely Drinkbox, just so you know.
Yeah, not Juicebox.
Not Juicebox.
They did really good work with that one, and I recommend you all take a look.
Also, Guacamelee was funny, so if you never played that game back in the day, you could always go back and see their other game to kind of get an idea of where this game came from.
Same sense of humor here. One thing that stands out is this guy who is obsessed with BTC, and he's talking about how it's the currency that's going to change the world. BTC, of course, being what we know as Bitcoins, but in his little world, it's bottle caps. BTC. And that hit me right in the, I felt things about that one. I was like, wow. It's like, you didn't have to be so honest about it there to Drinkbox.
Hit you right in the fallout.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to the news of the week. I got no real smooth transition or anything like that. Stuffy Twitchy, good to have you. Guacamelee played great on your Vita. Yeah, something about Drinkbox, by the way. They supported Vita all the way until its death. Guacamelee 1 and 2 are both on Vita. Severed was a game that was literally designed with the Vita in mind with its touch controls. So they were very, very big on Vita. And they have
my Vita.
Still one of the best handhelds ever. It's just got no love, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
David, let's move into the first story of the week. This is not nearly as big of a week as it was last week with, I mean, what is going to be that big again, though, until EA or Activision decides to buy EA or something like that. But first story of the week, speaking of EA, is that Respawn will be developing and producing 3 new Star Wars games. Now, if you remember, David, EA for the longest time had the exclusive rights to Star Wars. They had a 10-year commitment to it. That has since expired. And
they just proceeded to shit all over the entire license by doing nothing worthwhile with it.
Yeah, I think in 3 years they produced like 3 games. It's like Star Wars Connect and Battlefront 1 and 2. But with that agreement having been expired, you're starting to see other studios make games. You have the upcoming Coda remake from Aspyr, for example. You have Ubisoft's Star Wars game. I think it was Ubisoft is making a Star Wars game, but EA is still making Star Wars stuff as well. And they announced that Respawn will be heading up those projects.
Which is a great call. Now, before we get into the whole story, the only hope that I have for this announcement is they do what they did with Jedi Fallen Order, where they kind of just let Respawn make a video game, and they don't EA all the fuck over it.
We'll see. I think of all the EA studios, I think Respawn is the one that just kind of has carte blanche to do whatever they want.
I feel like they do. I think Vince Zampella kind of has that pull.
Yeah, it's very similar to how Naughty Dog at Sony can go, we're making this, and Sony will just go, okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Anyway, I'll let you get into it.
To the actual press release from EA itself. Upcoming titles in the Star Wars genre, upcoming titles include the next game in the Star Wars Jedi franchise, a new Star Wars first-person shooter from Peter Hirschman, and a strategy game via publishing collaboration between Respawn and Bit Reactor. Let's start with that first one. Respawn Entertainment, best known for the work on Apex Legends, Titanfall, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, is leading the development and production of these projects. Vince Zampella, Group GM and founder of Respawn, will oversee the new phase of EA's relationship with Lucasfilm, building on Respawn's award-winning history in game development and expertise in compelling Star Wars stories. Game director Stig Asmussen and his team are at the studio already working on the next game in the action-adventure Star Wars Jedi series. By the way, that Star Wars Jedi sequel is rumored to be coming out this year.
Ooh.
And if you haven't played it, Star Wars Jedi is one of the better Star Wars games out there. It really is good. They make really good use of the lore to that game. I think they do a good job of telling a side story that's not too reliant on having to bring in cameos from other characters, despite there being a couple of characters that you know from the series showing up in there, especially one great one at the end. That game is excellent, and it still has one of the things I always wanted to see happen in the Star Wars universe, and that is, just spoilers for a game that's a couple years old, someone using both a lightsaber and a blaster at the same time.
Yes, and you are referring to Fallen Order, just to clarify.
I'm referring to Fallen Order specifically.
You just said Star Wars Jedi a few times. Just wanted to.
Well, Star Wars Jedi is the franchise.
Yes, I understand that, but
you don't want people thinking it's the next one.
Yeah, most people are just gonna assume that's not what you're talking about, right?
Fair enough.
Oh.
What do you think? Did you ever play Fallen Order, by the way?
No, it's on my list. A million people have told me that I should play it specifically, and I
think it's on Game Pass.
It probably is.
I gotta look
that
shit up now.
I'll worry about that when I can hang out at my computer again.
Oh, that's right. I've already forgotten that you're lame.
Yeah, I'm actively lame.
100 years ago, we just would have put a sign on you and sent you out of the corner to beg.
Oh, yeah. And if I was a horse, I would have been shot. What are you going to
do? So that's coming. And like I said, that is rumored to be coming this year, which makes sense because the Star Wars Jedi stuff always had, well, I don't want to say always had a quick turnaround because it's a relatively new franchise. But
yeah, they made one other game.
Yeah.
But it's true. They did not work on it forever.
Yeah, I think they announced it and then less than a year it was playable. So it's within the realm of possibility that this will happen here as well.
Also important to note that Respawn, like you mentioned with their carte blanche, are able to actually use Unreal Engine in the development of the Fallen Order game.
Yeah, not forced to use Frostbite.
They're not stuck using Frostbite like every other big EA studio. So
and that's the biggest reason why I think Respawn can just do whatever they want.
The fact that they can do that alone is a pretty big deal. It also means that their development time is going to be much shorter because they've been using Unreal since, guess what? These are the guys that were OG Infinity Ward. They know what the hell they're doing.
Right. Back to the other games now. Leading the development of Respawn's all-new Star Wars first-person shooter game is Peter Hirschman, game director at Respawn, who has a long, accomplished history with the Star Wars franchise. Doesn't really get into details about what he's done with the Star Wars franchise, but he has experience in the lore building for that game, it sounds like. This one, I mean, a Respawn first-person shooter. Like you said, these were the Infinity Ward guys, so if you think the original Modern Warfare 1 and 2, which were some of the greatest first-person campaigns ever, I'm really looking forward to this.
Did you ever finish Titanfall 2?
No.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
For everybody that's not Steven, these guys made Titanfall 2. I'm pretty sure they can make a good Star Wars first-person shooter.
New games just started coming out, so that has been put to the side, other than the one that I'm actively working on.
I know, dude. That game got shut down when it released. We've had that conversation. I'm just saying you should play it.
Yeah, it is good. I started it. It is good so far. What my wish list on this, my hope, it's not going to be, my hope is that this would be a Dark Forces reboot.
Oh, damn. That's a throwback.
But what I think it would be,
sir.
What I think it would be, though, is because you already have two Kyle Katarn equivalents of the Star Wars universe that are getting a lot of play, and that's The Mandalorian, and that's Cassinar, whatever the guys from Rogue One was. He was getting his own spin-off series.
Mm-hmm.
My gut tells me it's going to be a game based off that guy, because he's essentially Kyle Katarn without Jedi power. What I hope,
have to wait and see.
What I hope, though, is that if this is a first-person shooter, they keep it more like how Dark Forces was, because in the original game, Kyle Katarn had no Jedi powers. It was just him against stormtroopers. You didn't see a single Jedi in that game. The first game.
Yeah. that is something we talk about often, is that we do enjoy when universes can explore other parts of themselves and don't have to just focus on that one specific thing. So we don't need Jedi in every single Star Wars game in order for us to enjoy it.
Which is my biggest problem with, to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, it's my biggest problem with Book of Boba Fett right now. Why is Tatooine, which is a self-described backwater, so fucking important to every major event in the Star Wars universe? It's clearly not a backwater if everything goes down on Tatooine.
Tatooine's got a lot of midichlorians, dog.
Nah, fuck that. No. Do you see what I'm saying, though? It's one of those things where it's like you have an entire galaxy to explore, but you keep focusing on like 4 planets. And
I have a whole batch of opinions on all that, but this is not a Star Wars podcast, so we don't need to even touch on it.
You want to talk about how in the most recent movie that the entire Empire fleet was destroyed by blowing up one radio tower that was rising it all up?
Dude, we don't need to talk about any of it.
Because apparently none of them have engines they could just turn on and be fine with.
This is a much longer conversation, and I'm really telling you, you don't want to get into this.
Finally, we have the third Star Wars game coming up, and it's going to be a strategy game developed through a production collaboration with the newly formed studio Bit Reactor, helmed by games industry veterans Greg Forstich. Respawn will produce this new Star Wars game, where Beat Reactor leads on development of the title. So I think
it's Forched.
It could be Forched. Forstch. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that.
Who is an art director for XCOM Enemy Unknown and XCOM 2.
Speaking of Bit Reactor, you might not have heard of them before. Well, that's because they are a brand new studio that just formed. It is created by a group of Firaxis game veterans based in a brand new Maryland studio called Bit Reactor, and it'll be focused on turn-based strategy games. Bit Reactor will be headed up by Firaxis art director Greg Forst, who worked with Firaxis for over 20 years on games including XCOM Enemy Unknown, XCOM 2, Civ 3, and Civilization 4. Other members of the studio include former lead developer and creators who also worked on the XCOM franchise. That studio specifically is going to be focused on turn-based strategy games, which head developer Force said that has been a genre that has been greatly overlooked amid the current generation of technology, and that tactics games have, quote, an enormous amount of room for innovation, end quote. Multiple unannounced games are currently in the works for that studio.
Absolutely love that entire statement.
Yes.
Bring it, dude. We both have a fondness for tactics or turn-based strategy games. So
absolutely. I don't know if it's necessarily a genre that's been overlooked in this new generation. I mean, we had a Gears of War tactics game, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but I feel like it's not been overlooked, but it's been underappreciated, or it's gotten a lot of indie love, but not really a lot of like even B tier or A tier money love. Besides that specific Gears of War game.
Yeah, still the most A-tier tactics game that has been released on PC. I'm not talking like your Switch stuff or the random Nintendo things. Still the most AAA tactics game, real turn-based strategy game that has been released on PC and PlayStation and Xbox is XCOM 2, and that was 6-7 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if overlooked, but definitely could use a new coat of paint, as it were, because everything still runs off that Xbox.
Maybe a big shiny license will help get some eyes on that genre.
Hopefully. I'm curious to know what this would be like. This falls into that category of I would like to see something along the lines of Republic Commando or something. Where you're like, here is a squad of rebel troops, and you can think of a XCOM game with a Star Wars skin. Don't think of Rebellion at its height. Think of like Rogue One Rebellion. You are a small rebel cell. You are growing your underground base. Here are your soldiers. They all have names that you can customize. Think that XCOM formula, but apply it to the beginning origins of the rebellion.
Okay, yeah, I just want a virtual version of Star Wars Armada.
Star Wars Armada was great. God damn, I wish we could have Armada 3. That game was great. What do you think about all these Star Wars games coming up?
Cool. I am much more excited about Star Wars video games from a wide variety of studios than I am from any Star Wars that's actually being put to film.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs that I'm far more interested in the side project for Star Wars than I am any of the mainline stuff for Star
And
Wars
I
right
have
now.
and I have much more interest in the stuff that Respawn's doing because, as we've mentioned, Respawn has made some pretty damn good video games, and I feel like they're at the right position where they can actually push out AAA quality video games that don't have like a AAA quality management and direction scheme where it feels entirely designed by committee.
My only concern here is, David, is that there are two Star Wars games now at Respawn. They're still actively supporting Apex Legends. They have
Yes.
that new kinetic IP coming out. And I
Yes.
think they have yet another project that they're working on. I'm really, really worried that Respawn might be spread a little too thin here.
It depends, and EA probably has so many flippin' support studios or studios that they've quote unquote shuttered that they can just say, "Hey, guess what? You're helping Respawn."
Yeah, I don't know how big Respawn is as a studio. I know it's sizable, but I didn't know it was this big. My biggest concern is
It's over 500 people.
my biggest concern is still overtaxing yourselves.
Mm.
And this is a lot to put on Respawn's plate,
Well, so
especially with
think of
something
it
like
think of it
Apex
this way:
Legends.
there's probably like 400 people working on the next Star Wars Jedi game. There's this Greg Forsch guy and like 3 guys doing pre-production for a strategy game, and then there's the third game from Peter Hirschman, which is, I don't know,
We like
30
know nothing about
guys.
it other than it's a first-person shooter.
Yeah, there's like 20 or 30 guys that are converting art assets to Star Wars and putting it on top of Apex and seeing what feels good.
Yeah, I mean that I'm looking forward to the future of the Star Wars games. I'm glad that the EA license is out, and I'm glad that the EA exclusive license is over. And I'm glad to see that EA is willing to let Respawn just do their own shit.
Yes. My big hope, though, of course, being that Respawn does these video games, but then is released to do other things because, yeah, I'm still holding my breath for a Titanfall 3. Maybe someday.
Yeah, they're real wishy-washy on the Titanfall stuff. They keep saying it's not dead, but we're not developing anything for it. It's like, guys, yeah,
They don't want to let it die, but they're also really fucking busy, like you just said.
my worry is because technically Apex Legends is of a Titanfall universe. My worry is that they're going to give us another first-person like shooter a la Titanfall, but it's going to be more Apex than Titanfall, which is not what I want.
Yeah, that's fair.
One thing to notice of all of this information, by the way, David, is that Respawn gets 3 Star Wars games, not a peep from DICE.
Yup. Well,
I,
they've got to go fix a Battlefield game before EA gives them anything.
I think DICE, which was once kind of an industry, I don't necessarily want to say darling, but people loved that. There was
Close enough.
yeah,
I
there was a
loved
lot
DICE
of
for a
people who
while.
liked DICE. I think DICE has had really some bad reputation damage between the last Star Wars Battlefront, Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 2042. Or is it 5?
Yeah.
What was the one before 2042? Was that 5 or was that 1?
5.
Was it 5?
It was 5.
Okay, between Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 2042 and the last Star Wars Battlefront, I think DICE's reputation has just been taking a hit over and over and over again.
Yeah,
And
they need like a refocus or I don't know, like a more of a small studio mindset. I've got no idea what they need.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what EA does with that team, but I think there's I think there's rough times ahead at DICE.
Yep. Also, quick aside to chat, Stealthy Twitch, you mentioned another future Star Wars game, Yoda Simulator, a la the upcoming Golem Lord of the Rings game, where you you set up elaborate traps and knock out bad guys as Yoda, and then every once in a while you get a cool cutscene where he busts out a lightsaber, murders everybody, and you don't press anything.
We were talking about this a couple weeks back. I wish that Golem Lord of the Rings game was going to be Golem's Deception, but it's not going to be. It's going to be like Styx Master Shadows or any other generic. It would be what I would call the straight-to-video tier of a stealth game.
Yeah, but I would still love a Deception game, just because it would fit the character, it works out, just that'd be great.
I would love to see a nice license behind that for certain. David, why don't you go ahead and lead us off on the next story here, because I'm starting to get a little coffee.
All right, via Video Games Chronicles, Activision, which we recently mentioned is in the process of being purchased by Microsoft, is reportedly committed to 3 more PlayStation Call of Duty games, including Warzone 2. In a press release, Activision Blizzard is reportedly committed to releasing at least the next 3 Call of Duty games for PlayStation as well as PC and Xbox. That's according to Bloomberg sources said to be familiar with the publisher's plans following its pending $69 billion acquisition by Xbox maker Microsoft. Prior to the announcement of Microsoft's takeover plans, Activision had already agreed to make another 3 Call of Duty games available on both PlayStation and Xbox consoles. They are said to be the next Modern Warfare game from Infinity Ward later this year, a new game from Black Ops developer Treyarch next year, and Warzone 2, which is also said to be planned for 2023. In its first response to Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Sony said it expects games to remain multi-platform due to contractual agreements. Quote, "We expect that Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform," a Sony spokesman said on Thursday. Microsoft's head of gaming also confirmed his desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation platforms once Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard has concluded. So, all this is really telling us is that the stuff that was already penciled in, yeah, that's going to stay. Post the next 3 Call of Duty games, who fucking knows? If Microsoft buys them outright, maybe nothing on Activision is ever going to be on a Sony console ever again.
Yeah, notice the wording on this. They're saying up until, what was it?
This is the exact same press release that they did when they purchased Bethesda.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone else got that, but it's more or less identical to, yeah, everything that we've already agreed on will still be releasing a multi-platform. And since then, what's happened? We already know that like the next Elder Scrolls game's not going to be on PlayStation.
Yeah, so I would expect whatever the current slate of Call of Duties that they had already in production will be the last ones on a PlayStation console.
Which is completely ridiculous.
Also, you come out and say
one of the biggest selling franchises of all time, and you're just gonna pull it off of a platform potentially? Like, that actually doesn't make any sense.
It does if you're Microsoft.
Because of how much that fucking video game sells.
Buy a Microsoft console. Buy Game Pass. Also, I think the reason why you'll see Microsoft doing that is because I think Microsoft wants Game Pass on Sony.
See, that would make sense.
And I think that will happen.
If they manage to get Game Pass installed on a PS5 so that you're paying a monthly subscription to both Microsoft and Sony, keep in mind. If you still want to play online games, you're still going to have to pay fucking Sony $1. And
keep this in mind too. Let's say that Microsoft still reduces Call of Duty on Sony PlayStation. Sony doesn't necessarily want to fight for that because when you release a console on PlayStation takes a percentage. Let's say, I don't know what it's on top of my head. Let's say it's 35%, right? So when Activision would sell Call of Duty on a PlayStation game, on a PlayStation console, Sony takes 35% of it. Activision takes 65% of it. That means now that any time a Call of Duty is bought on a PlayStation console, Xbox, their biggest competitor, is getting twice as much money as Sony does for it. So Sony has no real motive to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation beyond just keeping Microsoft from looking better. So one of the reasons why I think Game Pass on Sony, this is going to be used to hammer Game Pass on Sony, is because that way Sony can at least go, hey, we won't have Call of Duty on console for like sale, but if you want to buy Game Pass, go buy Game Pass. So at least we'll get a cut of it, and we don't have to worry about anything else from it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be ridiculous.
It's so weird, and there's no way Microsoft's not going to yank Call of Duty off of Sony in a couple of years. They have what?
As I mentioned about a week ago, this move will be shit for gamers. It is. What are you gonna do?
Also,
one of the biggest publishers of video games, period, right? Full stop. Just moves to one specific console over the other. Like, fuck, dude, I can't even imagine what kind of ramifications that's going to have down the line. Like, that's ridiculous.
And we're not going to see... We haven't even really seen the ramifications yet of the Bethesda acquisition. We're not going to see that for another 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
We might see it as early as when Starfield comes out, but we're not going to really fully experience the weight.
Yeah, we won't really know until like 2025 or something.
Yeah.
And by
And
then
this-
it'll be way the fuck too late.
And I'm still convinced all of this is designed to sell Game Pass more than anything else. Not move Xbox consoles, not to move hardware, but to just get people to sign up on where Microsoft very clearly wants the industry to go, on their equivalent of Netflix for games. And Microsoft is leaps and bounds ahead of that right now.
Yeah, I get it. But much like last week, I still think it's shitty, but we don't need to get back into that.
Yeah. I mean, we spent
could
50 minutes about going back and forth on just that one topic for certain.
Yeah, so everybody knows what I feel about this. But I guess at least the next few Call of Duties will be on PlayStation. Let's be real. I haven't actually played a Call of Duty in a long fucking time because they're just not really for me anymore. So this doesn't make a huge deal, but they do make a whole bunch of other video games. So maybe
There
some of
are a
those
couple
I would like to
things
see.
from this Xbox deal, by the way, that actually do work out for you and I. The fact that, one, we don't buy Call of Duty. So we have the campaigns for free now if you have Game Pass. Two, I'm hearing, and this is all rumor and speculation, but from sources who have sources on the inside, that Microsoft is going to move away from the yearly annualized shit of Call of Duty.
Oh.
Which
So they're gonna actually put it on one studio instead of having fucking 4 working on it?
They might still have 4 working on it, but it won't be a yearly release. So you might actually have some more interesting ideas coming out from there. Just a thought. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I've heard. So we'll see how that shakes out. This statement, by the way, because Phil Spencer was talking about this on Twitter, by the way, the main reason why they're saying this is to keep from jeopardizing the deal going through. Because if Microsoft suddenly comes and goes, we're going to take away all these games from this console, that's going to add more ammunition to any federal or organization that might want to stop this deal on the grounds of an antitrust. So you just let the contracts fill out. You can come out and say, hey, no, we're not making a monopoly. We're still producing games on Sony. And then 3 or 4 years from now, then after the deal's already done, then you can go, yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
Keeping in mind that there has been a new Call of Duty video game every single year since 2005.
That's a lot of Call of Duties. And some years two, some years two, depending on if you count like VR or spin-offs or something like that.
Yeah. There's a couple 2s in there, but there's been a new big mainline Call of Duty game every single year since 2005.
Chat's mentioning that Microsoft will abide to release on PlayStation, but nothing says they can't hold off on the PlayStation release for a few months to give Xbox Premier exclusivity. That is another wrinkle in this. I don't think that's going to happen for the next couple of years of Call of Duties, for next 3, according if this article is to be believed, because
Sony probably
ink is
already has
dry.
agreements in place for early release stuff, because you would always see Sony get some kind of like, I don't know, free DLC or however the fuck you want to call those, like purchase incentives.
Yeah. That stuff is not going to change for the few years. However, after that, it could be that splitting the baby where they go, hey, you'll have it on Sony 6 months after it's been out on Microsoft. That's also another thing that could pop up on this. Or if you have it on Game Pass, you'll get it like everyone else. How fucked up would that be?
I think what would happen if they start doing that is that this new exciting thing that we've been seeing happen recently will die. And that is Sony releasing their games on PC.
I don't think that's the case. I think the only counter that Sony has to this is to do what Microsoft is doing and release their own version of Games Pass, which is what this rumored code Spartacus might be. And I would assume that we're going to have details on whatever Spartacus is within the next 6 weeks.
We'll see if Sony has managed to figure out how to be pro-consumer in the midst of all of their hubris, as Xbox went, you know what, fuck it, we've got all the money. Let's money our way out of this whole situation.
Sony, when they're not arrogant, does great shit. But Sony got arrogant again. So Microsoft has to come along and kick him in the dick. And now Sony's got to go, well, fuck, what are we going to do now? Sony, when it's desperate and hungry, is best Sony. And Sony's going to have to... They can tout how many more PlayStation 5s to send on the Xbox. That ain't going to cut it for much longer.
This is one of those, hey, the short-term plan isn't going to keep working. You actually need to think about what you're going to be doing in the next 6 years to 10 years.
Right. But Yeah, that's that. Just important to know that if you are a diehard Sony fan, you're still going to get likely get another couple more Call of Duties. But after that,
Who knows?
what they're not saying is more important than what they're saying. The fact that they didn't confirm to say that after that means, yeah, they're taking that off.
Yeah, like I said, reads like a Bethesda one. I think we hit this home hard enough, right?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here, and that is, speaking of Activision Blizzard, Blizzard reveals it's making a brand new survival game for the PC and console.
That's ridiculous. They can't be making a new video game. Surely you mean something set in one of their 4 franchises, right?
No, good sir. Today, in a press release, Blizzard announced that it was hiring for its survival game set in a brand new IP. While the statement itself was light on details, focusing more on advertising for new positions that Blizzard to join the team, we know nothing about it, essentially. I was going to get into this all over again, but long story short, they're hiring positions, we know nothing about it. The positions, however, do include environmental, character, and technical artists, level designers, and software engineers. David, of course, this would be a fucking survival game, a genre that, to my opinion, has been played out and dead already for 2 or 3 years due to the amount of shovelware of survival games on Steam. This has no interest to me at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
How about you?
I mean, I haven't really cared about the last few things they've did, so I guess wait and see. But it could be interesting if we think about what they could potentially be working on. Like, it's a brand new IP. Remember when that very first Overwatch video came out?
Yes, I was kind of excited for it.
And it was like a fucking Pixar movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, what the hell is this video game? Did they figure it out? Is this going to be the Brink that we always wanted but never got? It still wasn't. But I don't know. I feel like there's potential in that studio to have something really fucking cool come out. Now, what I'm trying to work out is what remaining franchise does Games Workshop own that Blizzard hasn't converted, that Blizzard hasn't ripped off and converted.
To be fair, they did that the once. It just happened to be a big one.
They did that the twice.
What was the other one?
Warcraft and Starcraft.
Well, Starcraft I can think of, but Warcraft wasn't necessarily lifted from Games Workshop. That's just standard fantasy fair orcs versus humans, in my opinion.
I guess I'll give you that, but I don't know.
One thing to take a look at, however, is if you look at this job posting, link will be provided down below. There is a couple bits of concept art. One of them is what looks to be some modern day kids. You can see a city on the left-hand side, like a modern day New York or something like that. And they were clearly riding a bike and a bicycle, and they're going through this portal, what looks to be this fantasy kingdom with the castle floating in the sky. So it sounds like it's going to be a survival game based in take someone from our modern day and put them in a fantasy environment. Now go live.
Oh, that one anime.
Anime in general. There is a genre for that. I can't remember what it's called.
There's a name of that. Yeah.
It's like isekai or something like that.
I definitely don't know what it is.
I know anime, but I'm not like obsessed with it. If I were to see the word typed out, I would know exactly what it is. And if you go a little bit farther down, there's a second bit of art here. It looks way more fantasy-ish with someone wearing some quasi Monster Hunter gear. Looks like they clearly crafted it from something they killed, some kind of beast of some kind. So that seems to be the tone and tenor they're going with it. This reeks of... I know that they're hiring people. I know it's important to hire people for something coming up. But this reeks a little bit of desperation to try to start building good press for Blizzard after all the horrible shit they've experienced. And let's say
experienced and done.
Yeah. I should say that. I should say that just to be clear. Let's say we live in a world where none of the harassment shit happened. And let's just look at pure business stuff. Blizzard still had a rough time with delays of Overwatch, delays of Diablo, Warcraft 3 Remastered or Reforged, whatever the hell, is getting hammered all to hell. The death of StarCraft 2, essentially.
Is that fucking Diablo phone game even out yet?
I don't think so. I think it's in early access overseas, but I'm not positive on that. Just from a business standpoint, HR issues aside, Blizzard has had a nightmare of a time, and they've delayed all their shit out of 2022 even. So they have nothing coming out this year other than that Diablo Immortal the phone game, and that's not even really
which was
targeted for a
announced
North American audience.
which was still announced like 4 years ago. Right? Like that was
It's
a
been a
long
while.
fucking time ago. Is this a joke? That whole guy?
Oh yeah, the hero we didn't deserve.
Yeah.
This is an attempt to try to build some goodwill for a studio, but I can't help but look at this with some cynicism because it's like, okay, you're making yet another game where you can't even deliver on the shit you were supposed to deliver already.
Well, to be fair, they didn't actually announce that they're making a new video game. They posted some fucking job applications, probably because the mass exodus of talent, because of the shit show that is their studio.
No, this is confirming a new game being made though in a new IP. They're confirming that this game exists. This is not like an official announcement, but this is them saying, "Hey, we're working on yet another game."
That is true. I will give you that. The fact that this web page exists where you can go to apply for a career at Blizzard that says that you're working on an unannounced like IP video game, that is fair. That is a form of press release, but it's not them coming out on a stage or them actually putting on a blog post, a la the one we had recently from Respawn, saying, "Hey, we are doing this."
No, I think they're smarter than that. I think that this is meant to do that, just without drawing too much attention, because they don't want to. If they were to come out and say, hey, here is this, the number one comment on YouTube or Twitter or wherever you're going to go watch that trailer is, have you stopped sexually harassing your employees yet? Regardless of how that game looks. But by doing it this way, they can start building up hype for whatever this IP is, not do the whole big official reveal, and hopefully not only buy some goodwill, but not necessarily draw the full attention of, hey, your company still fucking sucks internally. Fix that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
It's not a way to taint the well out the gate. So I think that this was designed specifically to get people talking about this new IP coming up, and I don't think that Blizzard is going to make any major announcement for anything for a minimum of another 6 months, but they still
basically the next thing you will hear from these guys will be, "Hey everybody, Diablo Immortal is finally out. You bought a phones in the last 4 years, right?"
So here's how I think Blizzard's going to operate over the next few months here, especially with Diablo 4 Immortal. I think you're going to see small stuff like this. You're not going to see any trailer for anything for a minimum of 6 months until at least August, hopefully while all this slowly dies down. And maybe you'll even get an announcement that Body Codic is for sure leaving by, say, summer or something like that. But between now and then, you're going to get smaller brand press releases like this, or you're going to have something like, hey, Diablo Immortal is released in China or Japan, and that won't even be a North American focused press release. That will be for overseas. There'll be a quick little blurb about it. You're only going to get quick little blurbs, hints, and allegations of what Blizzard is working on for minimum 6 months. Then, after what you would assume is an appropriate amount of time dies down, I would say starting October, September, around when BlizzCon would typically go off, you're going to start seeing big announcements coming. Because they're going to go, it's been a year, I think we can talk about this now. But they do not want to taint the well with any major information until then. That is my personal opinion on how they're going to spin this.
That's fair. We will have to wait and see. Moving on, I think something that we do like to talk about is something that's kind of rare. When there's new game studios, which means, hey, guess what? There's a whole bunch of work for game employees. So that's always exciting. I feel like we talk way too much about people being let go. Let's talk about the opposite. As we mentioned at the top of the show, the former Firaxis devs joining forces to make a new tactics studio called Bit Reactor that's going to be working with Respawn on that strategy tactics Star Wars game that we know little to nothing about. But that's always exciting. Activision Blizzard's former Europe leaders have generated a new publisher in a story from Video Games Chronicle. Former leaders of Activision Blizzard's European operation have formed a new publisher called New Tales.
Note that is a publisher.
Yes, publisher, not developer. Situated in Paris, France, the company is helmed by Chief Executive Cedric Marchal, who was formerly Activision Blizzard's Senior VP of International. He's joined by other Activision Blizzard vets, including former VP of International Business Operations Bernard Dufour, who will serve as COO, former Senior Director EMEA at Blizzard Delphine Lecoeur, man, I'm bad at French, and former EMEA Director at Blizzard Emmanuel Aubert. They are supported by 3 senior game advisors: Kim Gresco, former composite artist at LucasArts and co-founder of Blue Silver; Ray Gresco, previously former chief development at Blizzard and co-founder of Blue Silver as well; and Julia Humphreys, former Overwatch producer at Blizzard and senior producer over at 7 Studios. Activision Blizzard closed down its office in Versailles back in 2020. The office was mostly responsible for marketing, customer support, and localization. In an announcement published on Monday, New Tales said it would create original IPs through its own internal studios and provide publishing services to other game developers through fair partnerships. So, for a long-winded way to say, they shut down their old France studio a couple of years ago. They've got a new one that will help publish games in the region through localization and partnerships, as well as work on some of their own independent stuff.
Just to clarify, Activision Blizzard shut down their studio in France. And the people who were let go of that are forming their own publishing house.
Correct.
This has strong vibes of like Tiny Build to it. If you know who Tiny Build is, they are both a developer and a publisher. And they tend to do like very, very small indie games for publishing. And then they themselves create their own stuff. Tiny Build, for example, is the guys who made Hello Neighbor, that weird, creepy watch your neighbor simulator where he may or may not be a serial killer kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And they also do small. They're not so small that they're like THQ Nordic. You know how we talk about Embracer Group is like the king of the B tier?
Yes.
Tiny Build would be like your C and D tier games, which don't mean that they're C and D rated games. It just means they're that next level down.
Yeah. What we would often refer to as the Devolver games, but Devolver has rapidly grown to less that.
So that seems to be what they're trying to do here. Now, being in Europe, however, what's the over under 3 years that they get bought by Embracer Group?
Dude, I have no idea. It's high likelihood, but after seeing the actual dollar amounts of all of these studios and realizing how small fucking Embracer Group is as an entity compared to like Activision Blizzard and shit, I got no idea who's gonna buy who at this point, man.
I mean,
it's EVO in real life.
To give you an idea of scale of some of this shit, Microsoft paid close to $70 billion for Activision Blizzard. Disney bought the entirety of Marvel for like 4.
Yeah.
So
in fucking insane. Also, quick update to our previous story when we were talking about what the hell Blizzard could be working on. It is Isekai. I texted my friend that watches a lot of anime.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, if I were to see the word, I would know exactly what it is, but don't ask me to say it off the top of my head.
Yeah, it translates to another world, which is what they call those kinds of stories. Anyway, I do have one more new studio for you, and this story is from GamesIndustry.biz. The Yakuza creator, Toshiro Nagoshi, and NetEase form a new studio. NetEase unveiled the new studio with veteran Yakuza producer and executive director Toshihiro Nagoshi, simply called Nagoshi Studio. He will serve as CEO and representative director of the Tokyo-based developer. The studio has a founding team of 8 other members, all veterans from Sega, and Yakuza developer Ryo ga Gakoto Studio. Nagoshi Studio will focus on developing high-quality console titles that will be released globally, NetEase said. That is the whole of that release, but hey, that's exciting, because those Yakuza games, pretty damn fun.
I would be more excited if it wasn't NetEase.
There's like 9 of them.
9 Yakuza games or 9 NetEases? Because god damn it, they're 9 NetEases. I'm in bigger trouble than I thought.
You'll be fine, dude. It's just NetEase. What have they ever done to you?
They're Tencent Junior.
Oh well.
Like if it wasn't for Tencent, that gets my ire nonstop. By the way, look at that Fight Club shit if you haven't already. That's some more reasons to hate Tencent. If it wasn't for Tencent,
that was the funniest thing.
I would be bitching about NetEase. So it's NetEase. One thing that I do find of interest here is that NetEase tends to focus on mobile games. That tends to be their bread and butter.
I see a lot of the NetEase logo if you're like scrolling around the Google Play Store or something.
Mm-hmm. This seems to be them trying to break into the console space, so we'll definitely see how that goes.
Yeah, but they've also partnered with like other major publishers to transfer over other games.
Yeah,
So it's not
like
they're
Blizzard, for example. All the Blizzard
yeah
games, I believe, are published in China through NetEase.
yeah. So it's not like they're completely in the dark about it.
Mhm.
But you gotta wait and see, man. There's studios all over.
David, this next story comes from a source I don't think we've ever used on this show before.
This might actually be a first, and we've used some weird ones over here.
Via Men's Journal, Dwayne Johnson teases a role in an unannounced video game movie adaptation. Now, Dwayne Johnson was given this interview with Men's Journal mainly about Black Adam. That's a DC movie coming up. He's a star in it, and
That's his superhero movie. Everybody gets one.
But toward the end, Men's Journal asked an oddly specific question, and it was as follows. You, Dwayne Johnson, have had a long history of Microsoft and the Xbox. The Xbox. Who says the question that way, by the way? And I have an answer to that. Do you have any plans to bring a video game character to the big screen? To which The Rock responded, I've always been a big Madden fan. I can't tell you which game in particular we're doing, but there's been an announcement this year. We're going to bring one of the biggest, most badass games to the screen, one that I've played for years. I'm really excited to bring it to fans around the world. Of course, we're going to do right by our gamer friends, but we're really just going to make a great movie. David, do you have any idea what this might be? Because I have a guess, and I think I'm right.
I think I'm right as well, and we have to find out if our guesses will work together.
Okay.
I don't know exactly which video game this will be. However, I guarantee you that this video game features a jungle so that he can wear his classic tan outfit that he's worn in like 6 different movies.
That's not where I was going with it, but I appreciate that logic. I think that he's going to be Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War.
Oh, see, I honestly thought that this was going to be like a lower thing, and he was going to play like a Call of Duty character, and they were just going to make a fucking live-action Call of Duty game for some reason.
And I'm basing that solely on the way that question was phrased.
And also the size of him, he looks like a fucking...
He already looks like he's a cog, for sure.
Yeah.
This question is so specifically aimed that this had to be a plant question.
Right? You've had a long history with Microsoft and the Xbox. Do you have any plans to bring video game characters to the big screen? Like, the vaguest, tiniest amount of tangential setup to what is otherwise a completely out-of-the-box question when you're having an interview for a movie that's coming out about superheroes.
Yeah. So, and they could have said just video games, but they specifically say Microsoft and the Xbox, which is shit that reads like you'd read it in a press release.
Yep.
So
which is why I give your Gears of War guess a lot of faith, because they do specifically say Microsoft and the Xbox.
Yeah.
But you never know. He could be doing anything. Maybe he's Crash Bandicoot.
Hey, they own that
as
now.
We mentioned, yeah, they're in the process of buying that. So who knows?
It's not Master Chief, because that's already been announced. The TV series are going to have Pablo Schreier do that and everything like that. But this feels like a Gears of War would make a movie.
You wouldn't put him in the helmet.
No.
Because he okay.
It's Dwayne Johnson. You don't hire a name to do that.
Please don't punch me. But I have a feeling that you like being on TV and in movies, and that when you're in these things, people see your face.
Yeah.
So that you can do your Rock facial expressions.
I didn't even think about the facial expressions, but yeah, you wouldn't put him in a suit.
You're not going to put a fucking helmet on The Rock.
However, I would be...
How much of a helmet did he wear in Doom?
So I did think Doom for a second, but he already was in Doom. But Microsoft owns that now because they own Bethesda.
No, I'm not asking that question. How much of a helmet did The Rock wear in Doom? Doom, the video game series starring Doom Guy, who exclusively wears a helmet. How much helmets did Dwayne The Rock Johnson wear?
Okay, so this is where I get a total nerd on you. Did you actually watch that Doom movie?
No, I've seen the cover of the movie in which he's not wearing a helmet.
That's because he's not the Doom Guy.
Oh, is he just Grunt?
He is a guy in the Doom movie, but the guy that's Doom Guy is I can't remember his name, but someone else.
I don't care.
Yeah. So the Rock is not the Doom Guy in Doom. In fact, the Rock gets killed in Doom. Sorry, spoilers for a movie that no one cared about.
I think if the movie's bad enough, you don't have to care.
Yeah, I am almost certain that he is going to play Marcus Phoenix, though. It just makes sense. I'm sorry, Rocco. I know you were going to watch it tonight, but now you don't have to. If anything, you should be.
Arnold Irvin was in that movie. Rosamund Pike was in that movie.
Oh yeah, a lot of people were in that movie. A lot of famous people were in that movie.
Damn. All
David,
right.
we have one more story left over here, and I'm going to give this one to you because this is your wheelhouse.
All right. In a story from GameSpot, Elden Ring has gone gold. I still don't know what the fuck that means. I know we've talked about it before, but
I'm
let's
glad
be
you brought
real.
that up because I have something I want to mention when you get into this.
It's nonsense. And will take around 30 hours to beat, which I'm actually really excited about, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. From Software has completed development of the long-awaited Elden Ring with a quote-unquote master version being submitted for approval, the developer has confirmed. Work isn't completely done, though, and the developers are now working on a day one patch that will include updates and optimizations. Fuck everybody that doesn't have a high-speed internet connection. This is how games are made these days.
Pause real quick.
Ring going...
Pause real quick. Do you know what the term going gold used to mean?
Yeah, going gold means that it's being printed on discs so that it can be shipped to the distributors so that we can buy said video game. That is the final version of the video game. That is the shippable version of the video game.
You can't...
That's the one that you play day one.
We need a new term than going gold for this shit because you can't go gold while having a day zero patch.
Yep.
Anyways,
I think they should just say is mastered.
Yeah,
like I don't know.
Just say the version's been submitted for approval.
Like
the final
is
version,
like a weird buzzword that literally means nothing these days in the context of. Or you know what? Fuck it. Gone Gold just has a whole new meaning, and it means the game is close. Right? That's what it means now. Gone Gold doesn't have any hard meanings. It means the game could technically come out within the next 30 to 60 days. That's what Gone Gold means. Even though we've seen Gone Gold games get
or launch version or retail version or something. But Gone Gold is a very specific meaning, and I'm tired of its use being abused like this.
Are you literally sick of it?
Yes, it makes me physically ill. You fuck.
Anyway, Elden Ring, quote-unquote, going gold, I'm never going to say that straight, was confirmed during the Taipei Game Show, where From Software also discussed Elden Ring's length. Producer Yoshihiro Kitao said playtime will vary depending on a number of factors, but the main route should take players around 30 hours. More on that. In a quote from Kitao, this will differ significantly by player, but in terms of targets set during development, the idea is that the main route should be able to be completed within around 30 hours. The game as a whole is quite massive and contains many dozens more hours worth of gameplay, but if we are talking about the main route only, it shouldn't take much longer than that. As for the day one patch, From Software didn't announce specifics as about what's included apart from updates and optimizations based on feedback from the network test that happened a few months back. So, the 30-hour thing, I'm actually pretty happy with as someone who's been playing through all of the original Dark Souls games. The first one, if you're doing like every damn thing you can do in the first one, you can get through in less than 30 hours. Like, I don't know. Like your original playthrough where you're dying all the time and you don't know what the fuck you're doing and you're kind of figuring it out. Yeah, I'm sure all you get good folks beat it in 6 hours and you never died. That's fine. Whatever. Praise you. But, you know, regular folk, maybe that's how long it takes to beat a video game, and that's cool. So I like that number because Dark Souls 2 is such a fucking slog. That was like 90 hours for the fucking main story, and I do not want to see that happen again in this genre. I just don't. So when I got that number, and I'm like, okay, it's 30 hours to beat, but with a bunch of extra content, that made me so happy.
This is one of those things where I don't know how to handle this. This 30 hours thing, I can see that for some games where they're like Dying Light 2 recently said 500 hours to do everything, but it's actually 40 hours for main quest, everything like that. And then, of course, you can apply dev math to it, where whenever a developer tells you it's going to be 80 hours to beat, you can probably roughly assume 40 in real life. You can always cut that by half. But specifically with these Souls-likes games, like the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Sekiro, etc., this number means nothing to me because how do you know if someone's going to get stuck on a boss for 10 hours? Which has happened to me once. The Orphan of Kos and Bloodborne, I've sunk about 7 or 8 hours into it, and I still can't beat that fucker. It's the only Bloodborne boss I can't beat, by the way. I'm really pissed off about it. Or, once again, to use the Bloodborne setting, the dancer, for example, Bloodborne, I beat him the first time. Like, how are they going to rational that? More than any other genre of game, giving a length of time to a Souls-like means absolutely nothing to me.
That's fair.
So,
but yeah, I'm still excited because as we talked about like a year ago when they announced that this game was going to be open world, I was fucking terrified of what that meant.
Yeah,
because I do like Dark Souls. I think that game was great. There are definitely like imitators to the genre that make games that are needlessly difficult for no fucking reason. Looking at you, Neo 2, that aren't actually fun and are just a grind fest until you memorize things. That's not interesting to me.
Is Neo 2 that bad? I played the first one, loved the first one. I've only played like an hour of the second one though.
Neo 2 is an arcade game that takes 60 hours.
As in,
it is meant to take your quarters until you memorize everything.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were getting at. I just wanted to be sure. That sucks. I hate that because I didn't think the first one was that bad, but that sucks to hear the second one's like that.
However, you can play the second one with co-op and then completely break the game.
It's just significantly easier to balance it.
It's a fucking joke.
All right, good to know.
It's completely unbalanced when you get another human in there. It's fucking hilarious. Okay, sorry. Back to Elden Ring. So we don't actually know how long it's going to take to do everything. We're probably going to get some cool speedruns in this game eventually, but I'm happy that maybe the open world won't be as sloggy as I'm worried about because I don't traditionally beat open world video games. They take too long. There's too much shiny shit on the map that I'm supposed to collect, and I don't want to deal with it. That being said, I will not be surprised if even though Elden Ring has gone gold, it gets pushed. And the reason for this is a recent release that I don't have the article for. Well, I'll track it down. I'll throw it in the Discord channel later. But there was a recent network vulnerability discovered in Dark Souls 3, which, guess what, shares a lot of the same netcode with Elden Ring, that allows remote code execution. Since they use a peer-to-peer connection for invading and co-op play, there's legitimately an exploit in that game that allows people to like take over your fucking computer that has been discovered and not widely released because it was actually found by one of the guys that works on the Blue Sentinel mod, which is the fan-made anti-cheat engine for Dark Souls. Let's take a minute to talk about the fact that Bandai Namco hasn't done shit for the actual netcode for these video games in forever, and there's fan-made anti-cheats that exist.
To be
really
clear,
hoping
David,
they get their shit together.
This is not something that's found in the fan mod. This is something that's found in the base game itself.
Yes, the fan mod is trying to address this gaping vulnerability that is the fucking netcode for DS3 and Elden Ring.
It's certainly not good that this vulnerability exists. Now, From Software has confirmed, yes, we know this exists. We're already working on it.
Yes, finally.
So, I don't want to say finally, because I don't think anyone knew about it until just recently.
That's fair, but there's a lot of other problems that have been submitted to them that have gone unanswered. Like, this is the biggest and most dramatic, but there's been hacks available for Dark Souls 3 where people can, like, remotely get into your game without you seeing an invader warning and then remove all of your area tags as far as like your world progress tags so that all of a sudden your bonfires don't go anywhere, or the boss is triggered as already being killed even though you haven't gone through that door yet, so that door doesn't work, so your progress is locked.
That's fucked
and
up.
You cannot play the video game anymore. Yeah, no, it is a clusterfuck. As
I didn't know that at all. Oh, that sucks. Yeah. Oh, goddamn, that sucks. I didn't know that was the case. David?
It's real bad. So I'm really hoping that they address this. And if, like I said, if this game gets pushed, I will not be upset because I want this to work and to have working online play more than I want to just see this game come out immediately. Like, fucking hell, guys, get your shit together.
David, it's still going to be until February before we find out if this is going to be a train wreck or not with the netcode, which is why I'm just more concerned about playing this offline. I get that's taken away from some of the Elden Ring experience and the Souls game experience in general, but fuck that. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
In the meantime, between now and then, to see if From Software can pull their head out of their ass and actually get this working, what other things can I play that won't potentially crash my game and do horrible things to my progress?
I've got a whole bunch of stuff for you this year, but I'm actually pretty sure that one of them you've already played and the other one you're actively playing. So let's go. First on my list for this week, releasing on PC, not for broadcast. The National Nightly News is live and you're the brains behind the scenes. Beep the swears, keep the cameras on the celebs, and keep the audience hooked in this darkly comedic game of televised chaos.
I love
you, my
this
friend,
game.
have played this game already, so I will let you take the reins.
This game came out in early access a little while ago, and you're essentially playing like a BBC censor as you try to shape public opinion for or against the slowly growing totalitarian government that's kind of taking everything over. It starts off very silly, but starts going into a very, very dark territory quickly as you go through it. They've been releasing this big chapters at a time. The final one finally is coming out. I think today it came out. I've been sitting on this for about a year and a half, waiting for it all to come out. I will be streaming this eventually, though, probably after I'm done with Nobody Saves the World. This game is really fun, especially if you like those, we're going to throw a bunch of shit at you frantic style games like Cook, Serve, Delicious. If you know that kind of genre of game. Not for broadcast, I would say falls in that category where the difficulty comes not from what they're asking you to do, but from the fact that they're just overwhelming you with shit all at once. Papers, Please is another good example of this style of game. And of course, there's a ton of full motion video in it, and I am a sucker for that old Sega CD full motion video.
Yep, you love that stuff.
But yeah, that is not for broadcast.
There you go. Also out this week is a game that I know you've beaten entirely. Out for PS5 and Switch, The Artful Escape comes out this week. With this is that cool 2D, kind of an endless runnery, story-driven, music-driven psychedelic journey where a guitar prodigy goes out on a journey to inspire a stage persona and confront the legacy of a dead folk legend. This is where you're like you're the son of a folk legend, but that's not really your jam. You're trying to be Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, and, so imagine you're the son of like Bob Dylan and everyone wants you to play Bob Dylan music, but in reality you're like the front man for Yes or some kind of 70s prog rock group. And that's what you really want to play. I am hesitant to call this a game because most of it is just running to the right and occasionally jumping. I wouldn't even say it's an endless runner.
I guess probably because you don't die as much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's almost none of that in there. But if you're into very colorful, visual stimulating games, like say Gree would be an example of this, I would recommend this.
There you go. Yeah, I know you're a huge fan of it.
I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Take a look if you're into it, anybody. Also out this week for the PlayStations and the Xboxes, Cannibal Cuisine. The god Hochabo is hungry for you, but serving is better than being served in this co-op cook-em-up. So this looks a lot like Overcooked, except for cannibalism.
Not to be confused with the upcoming Cooking Companions, which is a visual novel set in a cabin where you and like 5 friends are snowed in, and cannibalism ensues. Thus we name Cooking Companions.
Very, very different video game. This is more of like a fun 4-player arcade style party game where you're trying to make dishes, but you're making weird cannibal dishes for this spooky Hochobo guy.
Okay.
But take a look if that's your jam. Reverie Knight's Tactics.
As an aside, I'm looking at a trailer for this now. This really does look like Overcooked.
Yeah, that's why I said it, because it just looks like that game. Reverie Knight's Tactics hits the PlayStations, Xboxes, Switch, and PC. Turn-based tactical RPG with strategic battles and isometric grids where every decision can alter the story. Hand-drawn fantasy world and leading your heroes in a story-rich adventure. I like tactical RPGs. I always like to see more of them. This one is a little anime for my tastes. Actually, I'm sorry. I should rephrase that. It is both a little too anime and also not anime enough. You know how there's kind of that reign? Like, I'll play Fire Emblem. I'll go all the way over there. And then I'll also play Front Mission. But there's some stuff that's kind of in between those that I don't love.
They don't quite fully embrace the weeb, so you're not down with it.
Yeah. Either go all out or don't go there at all. I guess is the way to say it.
Sounds good.
Um, oh, Rocco, I have horrible news for you to address chat really quick. Chat says, I can't wait for this channel. It gets trailers playing while they talk about a new game coming out. We actually used to do that. That was our MO. We would show every single thing. We had images, we had links to articles where you would see actual interviews. Like we'd have the text going, we had everything. Then all of our content got flagged.
Yeah.
All of our videos would get pulled down on YouTube. We would get fucking like constant ad runs on Twitch because we don't really make any money here. That's not really what we do. And so, yeah, it kind of destroyed the show. So we ended up just having to go to a fully talk format, which fucking sucks. But hey, if you want us to do that, you should write a letter to Google and let us know if they ever.
Yeah, this show, believe it or not, used to have a much higher production quality.
Yeah, when we originally planned this whole thing, it was a fucking news show. Like we would cut to clips and interviews and trailers and music, and then all of our audio would get cut, and it became a whole big nightmare. So sorry.
It was specifically designed with the Daily Show in mind, where like you have him in the corner, like it zooms to the corner, and you would have like video or pictures and everything going up there. And I would have like a news ticker on the bottom.
That's why you might be wondering why we're a video podcast as opposed to an audio-only one. Yes, that's how we designed it. That's the way it started. Oh, memories. Anyway, also out this week, Elastomania Remastered hits the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Switch. This is a very, very old indie motorbike simulation game that's commonly known as Elma. Seriously, this looks like a Java game. It came out in like 2000 as a successor to Action Supercross. The remaster is bigger and better than the original. This is kind of like the Trials games before Trials was a thing, where you're riding this motorcycle and you kind of got to catch your wheels on stuff and you ride upside down and backwards and you're going through these little puzzle levels. It's a trip. Even the remastered I don't think looks great, but I remember playing this a million years ago and it was lots of fun then. I just don't know how fun it is now. So take a look if you're interested. Also this week, The Longest Road on Earth hits all of the consoles, PlayStations, Xboxes, and Switch. This is a casual adventure game, a thoughtful and deeply personal title with stripped-down mechanics. So this is kind of cool. It's a little bit of a life sim, kind of a music video, but it's a narrative-driven game with literally no dialogue or
looks
text.
Weird, by the way, too. It is a bunch of anthropomorphic animals, and it's all in black and white.
It's all grayscale. It's all music-based. It's just got a soundtrack. They're all original music. It's, music-driven fiction. It's a trip. I don't know that I necessarily vibe with the, style, I guess we could call it, with all the weird animal things. But it is a really interesting game concept to me, so I'm kind of interested in it. Kogan Sword of Rewind hits the PlayStations, Xbox, Switch, and PC. This is, oh boy. The internet said it again. A 2D action Souls-like.
Stop.
Everything's a Souls-like these days. If you've got checkpoints or bosses or things that used to just be called game mechanics, it's a Souls-like. This is a 2D side-scroller that is kind of 20XX looking, if you remember that kind of Mega Man successor.
Mega Man knockoff.
Yes, that was made by some of the Mega Man people.
Yeah, I don't even want to call it knockoff because it was actually pretty damn good.
Yes, it's quite great. Now, this is a tougher version of that with a twist. So there is a death mechanic where you kind of always have a 3-second rerun running. So if you die, instead of going back to a bonfire or a checkpoint or whatever, you can rewind for 3 seconds. And try and kind of figure out your way through it and, not screw up the next time. So you could take a look at that if that sounds interesting. I think the better of the two is Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Avenger IX2. I don't know how that's not 9.2, but what are you going to do? PlayStations, Xbox, PC. This is another 2D action adventure platformer that this one just looks like Mega Man Zero. I know this is like a whole game that people know about, Gunvolt Chronicles. I guess it's a franchise. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of them, but this game looks way more fun. It's a fast-paced 2D side-scroller with bosses. It looks like Mega Man Zero, dude. I think it looks great. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection hits PS5. This is all the damn Uncharted games in one package. We already had a Nathan Drake collection. This is the Legacy of Thieves collection. This one's on PS5. The last one was on PS4. These games are old as fuck. If you've never played an Uncharted game, I'm going to tell you right now, the first one came out so goddamn long ago that it's not good anymore. It just isn't. It's from another time and place.
Important to note, by the way, this isn't all the Uncharted's. This is Uncharted 4 and the Lost Legacy DLC.
Okay, these ones are better than the ones I was making fun of. My bad. I saw the title and I actually didn't look this game up at all. I just assumed it was the Uncharted collection.
I knew it. By the way, don't play Uncharted 4 without playing the first 3, despite what David just said there. Uncharted 4 is nothing but callbacks and emotional hits to the entirety of the series. It's meant to be a capstone of it.
And if you've never played that, I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to go back and try and play Uncharted 1, and you're going to be like, what the fuck is this janky-ass 1990s video game design?
Uncharted 1 is really rough to go back to, even with the remaster. It really is.
You're the protagonist, and I am on an adventure. I'm going to go in this room. Oh, no, bad guys. Okay, I shot all the bad guys. Now I have to figure out how to leave this room. Oh, there's a ladder over there. Okay. Hi, I'm in a new area. Oh, no, bad guys. I guess I'll shoot all these bad guys and then figure out how to... And that continues for the next 6 hours. Yeah, dude, I hated Uncharted.
Yeah, the first Uncharted's rough to go back to.
It's so bad. All right, also out this week, probably the biggest game of this week anyway, Pokemon Legends Arceus hits the Switch. This is the Monster Hunter Pokemon game. And not quite, but it's more that than it is Pokemon Breath of the Wild, which is what everybody thought it was originally. So it is instance-based. You go out and explore these little areas, and you can find different Pokemon. There's different Pokemon in the day, different Pokemon at night. You can grab your Pokeball of your Pokemon and just huck it at some dude, and you'll get into a fight instantly. There's no cut to a turn-based battle. It's more live action. You're more just controlling the monster directly with commands, and I don't know. It looks kind of neat. You're just trying not to die.
In real life, if I just take a ball and throw it at some dude, I'm sure I'll get in a fight too. Why would I want to play this?
I don't know, because maybe you like Pokemon and you're not just a jaded asshole.
That's fair.
Anyway, I know a shit ton of people are really excited for this. I think this is the coolest looking Pokemon game that I've looked at in a long time. I probably still won't play it, but this one's got a cool concept, so I will give them that. And that's all I got, folks.
David, that does it for new releases, which means that also does it for the show as well. This has been GamePoints episode 295, and thank you all for showing up. We do stream this every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at twitch.tv/GamePoints, with some rare exceptions. But if you can't join us live, you can also watch old episodes of the show over at youtube.com/GamePointsPC. Regardless of where you're watching and you liked what you saw here, you know how to support the show. Likes, follows, bits, subscribes, all that good stuff. You can follow the show at Twitter at GamePointsPC, myself at CapitalistPig21, and David there at Palshife_Satori. We'll be back next Tuesday with whatever news I can dig up between now and then. We're starting to hit that area where the news is going to drop down a little bit, and we'll get hammered with new release after new release after new release. I do expect it to be somewhat dead over the next couple weeks until we get our eventual state of plays and Nintendo Directs, which my gut tells me is going to happen in February, March, but we'll see. Either way, you're all more than welcome to show up then. This has been Game Points. Until next week, we're out of here.
Bye.